In this video, we are going to cover either my first year or my second year in business. And the reason why I say that is because I'm going to leave this introduction for both of those videos, but it is two videos. So you're either watching the video covering my first year or my second year as a tax firm owner. Now, what I'm going to do in each of these videos is answer two main questions. The first question is going to be, how much gross revenue did I bring in for that specific year? And the second question is going to be, where did those clients come from? So those are the two main questions. Within the first question, we're also going to dive into what was that income breakdown in terms of what were the services I was performing for that total income. And then the second one, in terms of where the clients came from, we're going to look at how much money I spent on advertising and whether or not I thought that money was well spent. Now, there are two resources other than my free videos here on YouTube that I have for either aspiring firm owners or new firm owners. The first is an on-demand online video-based course that will be releasing in summer of 2025. So I'm putting those videos together, and that will be out this summer. So you can use the link down in the video description below and get on the wait list for that. That will be full details of my processes, what I have in terms of automation, what software I'm using, my workflows, my checklist. It's basically everything in detail in terms of what I am doing when I launch my firm, what I've learned through the years, and what I'm doing now in an on-demand video-based course. So again, use the link below to get on the wait list for that, and you'll be notified when it is released. The other thing that I do is group coaching. I'm in my first group coaching cohort right now. The next one will be launching in May of 2025. Again, I will put the link below where you can get on the wait list for that as well if you want to get in that group that starts in May. What we do there is we dive deeper into where you get more personalized support, where you can ask questions, of course, that you can't do with a video-based course. But that is going into more depth, more detail, and it is a 4-month program where we meet twice a month in a group-based setting where the group maxes out at 10 participants. My goal with those resources and this video is not to say that I'm some amazing person. The fact is, you can do this too. There are people doing this far better than me, and there are people doing this worse than me, but still making it. And the goal is not to copy what I've done. The goal is for me to put out enough details to where you can generate ideas. You can either take what I've done and implement it if it works for you, or you can see what I've done and change it to something that works better for you. We're not the same people. We don't have the same network. We're not focused on exactly the same type of work, but I'm going to give you enough detail either in these videos for free on YouTube, in the video-based on-demand course where I go into extensive detail and how-to and tips and advice, or in the small group coaching as well. The whole goal is to encourage you, to inspire you, to give you as much information as possible so that you can succeed if you're looking to launch or grow your own tax firm. So I hope that those resources are helpful to you. Let's go ahead and jump into this video. All right, as I just mentioned in the intro, there are two videos, and this is the video for year number 2. So the link for year number 1 is below. Now, year 2, I was still 100% by myself. As I mentioned, I was in year 1. I had no one else preparing tax returns. I was doing admin work. I was doing marketing, which was basically just posting on social media and talking about taxes any chance I got. I was doing the tax work. I was doing the prep and the review of the tax returns. I was sending the documents. I was doing it all. I don't need to list what it was. Whatever it was, I was doing it. I had hired no one. Year 1, I had plenty of time. You saw, if you didn't see, the link to that video is down below, but I did 113, I think, if I remember correctly, 113 total tax returns. Had plenty of free time. Plenty of free time both during tax season and way too much free time outside of tax season. That did start to shift in year 2. So in year 2, I added, I did 113 total tax returns in year 1. I did 215 in year 2. So real quick, that was an addition of 138 tax returns. So I got to 38 business tax returns from 9, and I got to 213 individual 1040 tax returns from 104. So you can see that I grew by 113 the first year, by 138 the second year. That was my growth. The revenue will jump into that. We'll also jump into how much I spent on advertising. How did I grow from 113 tax returns to 251 tax returns from year 1 to year 2? Was it paid ads? What was it that drove that growth? We're about to jump into that. First, let's go into year 2 revenue. What was the gross revenue for year 2? I can tell you it was far more than I ever thought it was going to be. If you remember or haven't watched the year 1 video yet, my goal was to hit $45,000 by year 1, $90,000 in gross revenue by year 2, to eventually reach $180,000 in gross revenue by year 4. These were my mile markers to know if I hit these, I can stay in business and keep going. I will make it and can support my family by year 4. So what did I do? All right, tax prep. As I mentioned in video 1, this is 3 different levels of service. This is a basic tax compliance, a middle option that added year-round support for question and answers, and a premium option that added a very limited kind of tax forecasting and tax planning appointment later in the year. At this point, I think I was still taking 50% deposit up front as well as a 50% remainder payment when the return was complete. So looking at the average won't work that well because it's going to be way too many numbers and the average is going to be lower than the actual average because most tax returns are represented by 2 payments here. So if we scroll down, tax prep in year 2 and also year-round support and simple strategy planning sessions amounted to $124,000, up from $55,000 the first year, more than doubling that tax work revenue. Now, I also had people who chose the basic or middle option and later upgraded to the middle or premium option throughout the year. That added in another $1,100 of income. I continued to do some IRS representation, which was mostly just IRS tax notice support. So people would get an IRS notice, they'd reach out, I would help them understand why they got it and what they needed to do to resolve it. You can see this one nice fee here. I did do an offer and compromise for someone for a doubt as to liability. This total added up another $6,500 in revenue. I did this in year 2. I have not done it since. I was given an early bird discount. If you signed the engagement letter and paid your deposit by January 31st, I gave you a $25 discount. That cost me $1,600 in revenue. I do not do that anymore. I also was giving a referral discount. If a new client signed up and said you referred them, I gave you a discount. Now you had to tell me about it and they had to sign up. Somehow that was only 3 people, but my guess is other people just didn't bother to tell me because I definitely got more referrals than 3 that second year. Neither of these do I do anymore. It's not because I don't appreciate people coming in and signing up early. It's not because I don't appreciate people referring me. I live by referrals. You will see that. But I simply don't do it because of the administrative headache of tracking it. So I cut that out and don't do either of those discounts anymore. Accounting services, I kept doing monthly bookkeeping for people, which was mostly posting transactions and reconciling bank accounts. Did a amazing amount, actually, and that was not really selling that. People would just reach out. I talked to them about it. I wasn't charging what I should have been charging, but still added $47,000 of income in year 2 with that bookkeeping assistance and posting transactions and bank reconciliations. I also did some bookkeeping cleanup for people when they came in and needed their books cleaned up. That was $3,400. Definitely should be charging a lot more for bookkeeping cleanup. Non-client consulting, you can see most of these were $250 1-hour appointments. There were some startup appointments that were more than that. These fees have definitely gone up as well, but in year 2, still had plenty of time and was willing to sit down for an hour if someone would pay me anywhere from $150 to $250 for the hour. Added $6,000 of revenue there. And lastly, I did some client consulting. So this was stuff that did not fit into their package or their original tax work fee. And so they paid an additional fee on top of that. That added $1,400 for a grand total at the end of year 2 of gross revenue of $187,000. I was through the moon. This was amazing to me because that was my year 4 goal. Now, It was my year 4 goal because I had enough savings plus my wife's income to be able to make it to year 4 without our family going hungry or losing our house. But I had no clue what to actually expect because I had never built a business before. I had never gone out and tried to get tax work before, so I didn't know what to expect. But I built my goal based on what I knew my family needed, and I knew we could do it if we made it 25%, 50, 75, and 100% by year 4. Hit the goal of 180 in year 2 and never looked back. So this was awesome. Things went far faster than I thought they would. I hope they do for you too. Let's talk about where these clients came from in year 2. If you remember from year 1, 78% of my new clients from year 1 came from my personal network. They either said that they knew me personally when reaching out, or they said they were referred to me by someone who knew me. Year 2 was no different. Every single one of these clients pretty much came from a referral. Now I have new people referring me. I have 113 current clients who are referring me, plus my own personal network, plus the people who know me personally. At the end of year 2, I now have 251 clients who are referring me, plus my own personal network, plus my, what else? Yeah, my own personal network. So once you hit that critical core factor where you've got that base, it's like a snowball and it picks up steam to where now I cannot take every return that is referred to me. And it just, you got to get that critical mass going, and you can do it. You can get the critical mass as long as you have the ability to stay in it that first and second year, maybe before it's quite providing all the income that you need it to. But you can set aside some savings, maybe a spouse works, maybe you can do this on the side of your current job to start to build up that critical mass. But once you get that going, it's going to take care of itself from that point on. So let's look at my year 2 advertising. Jump over to the video in year 1 if you want to see what I spent in year 1, but I can tell you it's drastically less in year 2 because, as we know, I found out that advertising was not driving my business. What was driving my business was my own personal network and referrals. Advertising was cut significantly. I did still run some Google ads to my local zip code. I ran Facebook ads, but I stopped the local zip code ones basically, and these were specifically targeted to my previous employer's employees because they have a unique tax situation, and I had a high conversion rate from those ads, so I kept running them completely, never touched Yelp again, stopped doing LinkedIn ads. My billboard was running for 2 or 3 months, looks like 2 months during this second year, January and February. And again, that was all about awareness too, just in the local area. No one really said they came in because of the billboard, but I know people were seeing it because people were telling me they were seeing it that knew me. And so it was just building awareness. The other one, this was a reimbursement for a domain, but these are minimal. So advertising year 2, I'm now doing $187,000 in gross revenue, spending $3,600 in advertising because all of this is being driven by my personal network, either reaching out to me themselves or referring me to someone else, my clients from year 1 referring me to other people because they were happy with the service that I provided to them, and my free Google business listing. Lots of my local clients come from that listing. I have a co-working space, so I'm able to list my business on Google Maps with a pin at that address. Now, I actually had a dedicated office there for 2 years before I realized that there weren't enough people coming in to justify the cost. So I dropped that down to a virtual membership at a co-working space, and that is my address where clients can drop off paperwork in person, which no one does because I'm 100% virtual, but I do have 3 or 4 local clients who do actually drop off work, but that can happen there because they know who I am. And if anyone shows up because they see me on Google Maps, they'll send their information to me, collect it, and send it to me so I can follow up with them. Being on Google Maps is huge in your local area if you're able to do that. I also now have 70 5-star reviews, nothing lower than a 5-star review, and I'm at 70 5-star reviews on Google Maps. So that is a huge driver, but I'm getting actually pretty close to cutting that off. I get good clients from that, but I've been toying with going to referral only, but I'm not quite there yet. I'm not willing to turn off the Google reviews yet because I filter people through a new client survey. So really I can be picky even by still listing myself on Google Maps. And I find some great clients that way, even if I turn a lot of them away who are coming through Google Maps. So I probably won't turn it off because I've got that new client survey that helps me pre-screen and filter out potential clients to see if they're a good fit or not. So again, summary of year 2 is I'm doing far better than I really ever thought that I was going to at the $190,000 gross revenue mark. I'm spending very little on advertising. I'm doing 251 total tax returns. So let's look at my advertising spending in 2024. So year 2 was 2021. That was my second tax season. 2024 was last year. That was my 5th tax season. So we're skipping over a couple years here. Ad spending was $1,500. And actually it was 0 for my tax practice because this was Facebook ads for a second revenue stream I was trying to generate through personal finance coaching. I renewed my .cpa domain name, even though I've never used it. Why I keep paying $225 for that, I don't know. I was running Facebook ads again for that intentional finance, personal financial coaching. I was trying to build an online community that could then turn into personal financial coaching as a paid revenue source. GoDaddy was a domain name for that. There was a fictitious name for that, and there was a website for that. I've actually abandoned that. Now I'm no longer running that. I turned it into just a free Facebook group to talk about personal finances, but none of that is a potential revenue stream for me at this point. I've actually gone away from that. So 0 of this ad spending, first of all, it's only $1,500. Second of all, 0 of it is for my bookkeeping, payroll, tax prep, tax planning, tax strategy, business. 0 ads in 2024. In fact, I'm pretty sure 2023 was 0 as well, because as we've already established in both this video and the one before it for year 1, none of my clients were coming from advertising. Does advertising work? Yeah, it works. It wasn't what was driving my business, and I didn't need to do it. There are definitely other times. I think if the more niched you are, I think the better advertising works for you. The bigger you want to grow, the more you might need to advertise to generate, but you're going to have to spend more than what I was spending. I spent that first year $11,000. You're going to spend more than that to really drive volume. So I didn't want to do that. I did not want to grow super fast. Again, at the end of year 2, it was just me. This was, though, the year where I said, during tax season, I said, if I want to grow again, if I want to grow by the same amount from year 2 to year 3 as I grew from year 1 to year 2, I will not be able to do that on my own. So at the end of year 2, I hired a full-time admin person to come in at the beginning of year 3 to take all the admin work off of me and to actually start doing some data entry into the tax returns. That was a great move. I did not have TaxDome at the time. If I had had TaxDome at the time, I probably could have got one more year out of not hiring somebody. But I had a very manual process at this point. I don't regret that decision. I brought them in. Year 3 was fantastic. They are now doing tax prep. They have their enrolled agent that they got while they were working for me. And it's a great situation. And so I don't regret that one bit. They're still my only full-time annual employee. I do now have 2 pretty much full-time hourly employees during busy season. And that's where we're at right now. Myself and one other full-time year-round employee plus 2 full-time busy season hourly employees for a total of 4 people during tax season, all doing tax prep. The admin work is pretty much off of us because of TaxDome. So all 4 of us are really doing tax prep and client communication. Now, I will also tell you here at the end of the video, where am I at in at the end of last year? So this is 2025 right now. I don't know where I'm going to end up this year in terms of clients, but for 2024, I did 45 business tax returns. I did 367 1040 tax returns for a total of 412 tax returns. I do the business tax returns myself 100% start to finish. The personal tax returns, I pretty much don't touch any of those until one of my 3 employees has followed up with clients to make sure we have all documents, asked any follow-up questions, and data entered everything into the tax return. Those tax returns are usually anywhere from 80 to 100% complete before I do a full and thorough, extensive review of those tax returns. I am the only tax return signer at this point, so I check off every single number from every single source document and go through those tax returns with a fine-tooth comb. But I do not have to do the initial kind of client back and forth to make sure we have all the information. I do not have to do the initial tax data entry. I have other employees who are doing that piece, and eventually a couple of them will probably start to see their own clients, which will help us continue to grow. That is for the future, is employees signing tax returns and having their own book of business and their own clients. Stay tuned. That is coming, I think, this year. After this tax season, I think I have at least 1, maybe 2 employees who will start to see their own clients and build their own book of business. That's where we are in terms of tax returns. How about prospective clients? Where are prospective clients coming from these days? Well, I just told you I'm spending 0 on advertising, so they're not coming from advertising. 37% are coming from referrals. Now, this was not super tight. I went through my new client survey. I don't have where they're coming from standardized. So what happens is they might put in Johnny sent me, or they might say I was referred. So I need to make that standard. But basically I went through, I tried to clean it up, and here's a pretty good representation of where people are coming from. 37% are referred. 44% are saying they found me online or through Google. Again, that is not a paid ad. That is my Google business listing, which has 75-star reviews, 0 reviews below 5 stars. And so there's still a good amount of clients coming from there. Now, these are not clients who I have said yes to and taken on. These are just people filling out my survey. So out of these, many of them may not have chosen to go with me. I may not have chosen to do their return. But this is just the people reaching out saying, hey, I need help. 44% come from Google. The rest, basically, referral, LinkedIn, financial planners, Facebook, YouTube, networking. They know me, or they said they came from a link. I don't know what that means. All of that, none of it is paid. So it's all my personal network. It's my social media. It's my YouTube videos. It's people who know me. It's people who see me on social media. 56% is coming from there. 44% coming from Googling and finding my free Google business listing on Google Maps. How many people are reaching out? Since January 7th of 2025 through February 19th of 2025, 2 people per day or 14 people per week on average are filling out my prospective client survey with 0 paid advertising. Over the last 10 days, so that would be from February 9th, from about February 9th to today. So over the last 10 days, we're getting more into the heart of tax season. I expect this number to go up in March just based on when people reach out, because they don't do it early most of the time. I love the people who do. Some do, but not everyone. 2.8 people per day over the last 10 days, which would equate to about 20 people per week filling out my new client survey. And I wish I could tell you how many of those actually become clients, but I didn't look at that in order to do this video. But this is an excellent number, I think. 20 people per week, $0 spent on advertising because of referrals from current clients, referrals from my current network, people who know me reaching out, people who see me on LinkedIn, people who see me on YouTube, people who see me on Facebook. I'm not on TikTok. I don't really post anything on Twitter. I'm not really on Instagram. These are the sources where people are coming from, and it's working great so far. So again, all of this is hopefully to inspire and to encourage you that you can do this. You can do it. You can do it without spending a ton of money on advertising. You just have to get the word out. You have to commit. You have to make sure that you have savings if you need kind of that on-ramp like I did. You know, I planned on a 4-year on-ramp. It only took 2. So hopefully you can beat your goals too. If you need help, if you need support, check and get on the wait list for the on-demand course down below. Get on the wait list for my next cohort that is starting in May of 2025 for small group coaching. Again, it's not a guarantee. I can't make those promises. I would if I could. I want everyone to succeed, but what I do promise is that I will encourage you. I will tell you everything that I've learned. I'll show you every bit of my process. I'll open up my tax dome. I'll open up my books from the current year and show you where my revenue is now and where it's coming from. I will be an open book to you in that on-demand course and in my group coaching so that you will have everything that I could possibly give you to help you succeed. But you're going to have to take that leap. And also, I'm hoping you're still pulling in information from other sources. I'm not going to be your one-stop shop, but I will be someone who helps you along the way. So check those resources out. I really, really appreciate you watching these videos. Please subscribe to the channel as well, and let me know if you have ideas for other videos that you want to see or things that I haven't covered yet. I want to help you succeed. Thanks for watching.